Hey, welcome to Unperturbed, the podcast where high-achieving Black women come to take off their strong Black woman cape. You know, the one that keeps them people-pleasing, overgiving, and putting themselves dead last. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. On Unperturbed, we're empowering you to put you first, unapologetically and boldly, so you can show up for yourself the same way you've been showing up for everyone else. This is where empty vessels get refilled. So look, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, share it with your sister friends who are running around with empty cups too, and then come kick it with us inside The Haven, our private Facebook community where we go even deeper. Trust me, you need this space. Head on over to enterthehaven.net to join us. All right, it's time for the best part. Let's get into it. What's up, y'all? It's your girl. I'm back. Dr. Rhonda Alexander here for another episode of Unperturbed. This is the place where we define what it means to be strong for Black women. Because listen, we have discovered that being a strong Black woman no longer has to mean how much crap can you take and still show up amazing. We're not doing that anymore, okay? So we are on this podcast becoming unperturbed, unbothered, and I have an amazing guest with me today. You guys are going to love her. We just met and I feel like we've known each other a while.
Yes.
So I'm very, very excited to welcome DaJaneil McCree, Doctor. Put some spec on her name.
You're fine.
Dr. DaJaneil McCree. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Like everything you just said and just everything that involves us.
Right.
I love it.
Right. I loved when I said, well, what do you want to talk about? You said everything Black.
Everything Black.
Yes.
I need to get a pen. All things Black. Every day.
All day, every day. I love it. In the short amount of time that we have had to get to know each other, I have come to really respect and the work that she is doing for Black women, with Black women, not only helping us champion our voices, which is what we're talking about today, but she is looking into health disparities, y'all. A Black doctor. Y'all know it's two of us on here today.
Come on.
Black
doctors class
on here, but she is looking out for us and studying and understanding and helping us to articulate health disparities as Black women. And y'all know if anybody is going to go in a hospital and not come out, it's more likely to be the ones that look like us. So let me just thank you for that work that you're doing, because we do need advocate on, medical professionals and scientists and researchers who are advocating for us on that side. But then you also teach us to advocate for ourselves. And I appreciate that. And in that advocating for ourselves, that leads us right into our conversation today, talking about reclaiming our voice. One of the things I don't think many of us realize is that something along the way for a lot of us came along and took our voice.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
1,000%. 1,000%. It's always external forces that we internalize. And we talked a little bit about that in our one-on-one discussion, right? You don't really realize that something is happening sometimes, right? Like I talk a lot about microaggressions. I didn't even realize they were there or that it was happening, right? And so, but it becomes so or has become so normalized to the point where we don't recognize it. And that's the point. That's what they're trying to do. And that's just the unfortunate facts of it all. They don't want us to be used to not speaking up and not using our voice. So it doesn't seem or we don't feel the not being heard.
Yeah. I talk about in my book, 7 Dirty Secrets of a Strong Black Woman, that there was childhood abuse that happened to me that caused me to silence myself. And I didn't realize that. I thought it was no big deal. I just don't talk about it because it's not going to affect me. It's just not something I talk about, to the point where I really forgot about the events that happened.
Right.
But the fallout from those events infiltrated my whole life, right? The inability to say no, the inability to speak up, like that occurrence really silenced me as an adult. and I could get out and speak in front of people. It wasn't that it took my ability to talk in front of folks, but it
Right.
took my ability away to advocate for myself and to look out for me, right? I'd love to know, the work that you're doing, what was it that brought you into this work that made you say, "No, I know how important Black women's voices are." What was that for you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, let's give it up for that book title because baby, that's the one. That's the
Hey,
one.
all
I
right.
love so much. I
Thank you
couldn't
so
get over it. I
much.
was like smiling from ear to ear when you said it. So yes, I'm excited to read it. So congrats on that.
Thank
But
you.
for me, I think that growing up, just being from Detroit, at the time, we get a little more diverse. But at the time, I grew up around people that looked like me.
Mhm,
I didn't have white friends from the time that I was born until I would say like eighth grade, right? The closest people that were white were my family members because they mixed,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, going into high school, I went to it was a mix, but I would still say it was predominantly white, right? And then I attended a PWI, predominantly white institution. I
Mhm,
then worked at a PWI, like that's all I knew, right?
mhm, mhm,
And I think for me, it wasn't until because again, I was so used to my experiences that it was normalized. It wasn't until I began working at a PWI, and at this point, I'm on the other side of the spectrum, right? I'm no longer a student. I have the same qualifications as everybody else. That I really start to feel like, oh,
mhm.
they want me to not say anything. They want me to just sit in these meetings and nod my head and act like I don't have an opinion, but we're not doing that because we don't have to. So we won't
Exactly.
be.
Right. 'Cause
So
I
we
got the
won't.
same PhD, the same 3 letters behind my name that you got behind
Hello?
yours.
Hello? Okay, now you may have been here a little longer, but you are older
Right.
than me. Let's be clear, you know? But that was age was a whole other thing.
Right.
But for me, being in that space, because for whatever reason, I thought it would be easier, excuse me, once I got
Mhm.
my degree. I feel like everybody
Mm.
gonna we all gonna be friends. And like I was just
Yeah.
naive child. I
Yeah,
was just
yeah, you had a rude awakening.
I did,
Were you
and I
working at a PWI? Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll shout out to my HBCU, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing, but in that space, again, in the professional realm is where I realized just how much we're silenced. I've always heard stories about, the white man and the all those stereotypes about
The
the
man
workplace, but
keeping us down, child. It's the
yeah,
man.
yeah, I had never experienced that though because I'd always worked in environments that were inclusive necessarily, but I think again, I was just conforming. I was just
Mhm,
so used to like this is just how but yeah, I started to what really happened is I had an identity crisis, right?
mm.
And working through that and healing from that, I was like, wait a minute. Mm-mm. I am excellent. Wait, I do know what I know. I have done great things. And
Yeah.
so that is what charged me to start speaking up for myself. And then I've always been a mentor. So I've always wanted to give the knowledge that I've gained back. And so that's how Black Girls Can Talk came about.
I love that. I think a lot of us who realize that we've lost our voices, we have that kind of moment, right? You have
Yeah.
that moment where you have been making yourself small for so
For
long,
so long.
and
Yes.
something happens. For me, it was a really, really devastating breakdown that made me look around and go, "How did I get here?" And
Yes.
I had to really think about what was happening, and a lot of it was stuff I should have been speaking up about, things I
Mhm.
should have been not defending myself, but things I should have been more vocal about. Stuff I
Yeah.
didn't like or stuff I wanted and didn't want and was pleased with or displeased, did not feel that I had the freedom. So it was kind of like I had all this building up that I never got to express.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, is it possible for us to realize areas where we are silenced or silencing ourselves without
Mm.
having to go down that road of finding it out the hard way? When you finally burst and realize I've been silent for too long. I mean, does that really have to be the road?
I think that unfortunately we have to go through things to get to a certain space.
Yeah.
It hurts and it's hard, right? And I think about, the conversation surrounding going through the storm to know how to navigate the storm, right?
Right.
Like you
Yeah.
wait with certain stuff until you go through it. So it is unfortunate that we have to go through a life lesson and a learning situation. We could always learn the tools up front, but I think it's similar to anything else. Whereas if you haven't experienced it, you don't know how to deal with it, or you don't maybe even know that it exists,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Like, for instance, if you've never lost a loved one, you may not know how to deal with that grief, right?
Right.
Until it happens. And then you're like, oh, okay,
Right.
now these are the tools that I have to kind of put into play. So I wish that it happened differently. I
Right?
do.
That boldness from the start. Like, I wish we could,
Exactly.
even when we do teach our daughters, and I have a daughter who's 23, I felt like I taught her, what it meant to be strong. I felt like I modeled that for her. But it
Mhm.
still is her own journey.
Yeah.
It still is
Great.
her finding what that voice is. It's like they
Mhm.
know I should be able to speak up for myself, but actually doing it is
Yeah.
different than
It's
hearing mommy talk about it or
mhm.
hearing other people talk about it, and actually looking at a circumstance in the face and standing up to it and saying, "I will not deal with this," or "This is how I wanna be treated," or "This is how," "This is the boundary that I'm drawing." And
Mhm.
so, I'm passionate about unlocking the voices of Black women just like you
Yes.
are, because I understand that there are a lot of us who are powerful when we are out in the world. We have
Mhm.
no problem telling people where to go, how to get there in their professional lives. We're directing teams, we're directing businesses. I mean, we are high achieving power brokers
Yeah.
out there.
Mhm.
But when it comes to doing the same thing inside, doing the same thing for ourselves and our relationships and friendships and personally, it's really, really hard for a lot of us. A
Yeah.
lot of us who are very successful and very powerful. And so I want to encourage Black women to have, like you told me earlier, those 2 people are the same people. I want you to be that same bold, vocal, attentive person that you are for yourself as you are for everyone else.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
I spoke a little bit about working at PWI. I was like, I felt like I had to act different or be different. Like I was
Mm.
telling somebody earlier, like I would have never worn this hairstyle at my last employer because I just felt like not only was I conforming to their standard,
Mhm.
but I was internalizing like what was acceptable and what was not until that light switch went off. And I was like, wait, I
Yeah.
wear braids. Like, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
unprofessional to wear braids. And I write
Right.
that in my book as well because, you can still be yourself and still be professional. Even in regular conversation, I still talk like I have a sense. I still talk like I got a degree or two,
Right.
like
Yeah.
even in text messages, I'm like, oh, add that period, comma. Like I,
Listen, we are a dying breed. Those of us who punctuate text messages, we are
and
a dying breed.
when I read stuff, I was reviewing one of my students. They were just doing the outline. I was like, I took the computer, like, I'm so sorry. I'm a writer for real. Like, I have to add this period.
Yes.
But no, it's important that you show up as yourself in any room that you walk in. And
Yeah.
that you feel comfortable in because you belong in any room, any door that was open for you, you belong there. So go in knowing that allows you to be yourself. At least I found, right?
Mhm.
I could still listen. I'm from Detroit. I get a little ghetto, I'm not gonna lie. But people
I think
always
that's
say,
part of the Black girl magic. Let me just say. I just think
come
that's
on,
part of what
come on.
what makes us us. That's
Yeah,
all I gotta say. I'm
yeah,
with you on that. Just a little
yeah.
sprinkle all right.
People always say I'm the perfect definition of Bougetto because, like, baby, that can come out, but I'm also poised and, like,
Yes.
I can
Yes.
keep it cute.
Because I
You know,
listen, if you wanna take me there, we can go
who
there.
don't? But yes,
Love
it's
it. I
just,
love it.
it's about us finding that confidence within ourselves and
Yeah.
building up that resilience. You walk a little different when you understand your resilience. So it's important to discover those things within ourselves to be able to
Yeah.
show up in a certain way.
Yeah. And I think, I agree with you 100%. I really feel like part of that journey when it comes to discovering that I can be as vocal in my personal life
Yes.
as I am out in the world, and I don't have to be concerned with, are people gonna still love me if
Right.
I draw boundaries, if I advocate for
Mhm.
myself, if I say, "Ouch," when you hurt me, or
Mhm.
when I tell you that I don't like something, or this is my boundary, and in order to deal with me, you have to respect
Yeah.
my boundary, right?
Or do.
And I think, that we're sometimes at odds with that because at work, out in the world, we don't have that problem because we're paying somebody, and that's their job to listen to what we say. It's a little bit different when we're dealing with people externally sometimes,
Mhm.
because sometimes people have a
Absolutely.
hard time drawing boundaries professionally as well.
Yes.
But I just want so many of us who don't feel comfortable standing up for ourselves
Mhm.
to become comfortable standing up for
Yes.
ourselves, to say, whatever you decide to do is your choice. Here's the
Yes.
best thing for me, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
do the best thing for me, and you do what you gotta do,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna do the best thing for me. I I had a client I was talking to just, yesterday, and we were talking about a move that she needed to make in a group that she was a part of. And she was just telling me, she's like, I've never done this before. I've never backed out of a group. Like, I just feel so, so concerned and so nervous about that. And this is someone who does very well in her business. She's, very experienced. She makes good money in her business. But just the thought of, creating this friction was
Mhm.
really giving her a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And, I wanted her to, in that moment, not just make a decision to, do what needs to be done, but what is your body telling you? What is your mind and your heart? What are
Mhm.
they telling you that you need to do? You need
Yes.
to listen to that. This is an exercise in listening to you and honoring you. Not, are you going to tell somebody off, but are you going to honor you and your needs and your boundaries, right? So I think there was a light bulb moment that she had when
And
we were talking because, well, it definitely was because she texted me later and she was like, so I was like, yes, that is the
good.
thing, standing up for you. And then whatever that other person
Yeah.
decides to do,
Mhm.
leave them to
It's
do
only
that.
you can't control what they do. You can only control what you do, what you
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
and to your points that you're making, I definitely think there's a way to say certain stuff, but it could still be said. You can still
Yeah.
speak up for yourself, and I write that in my book too and give some examples of, like, instead of saying this, maybe approach and
Mhm.
sometimes maybe that's taking a breather before you say something, but you can still get that same message across using different terminology. So
Yeah.
that's all I do.
Yeah. So tell me about this book. So you
Yeah.
referenced the book a couple of times. We didn't talk about the book in the
Yeah.
pre-convo. So
Right, right, right.
tell me about the
So
book. And I want to, we're dealing
yeah.
with going from this toxic idea of what it means to be strong to a healthy definition of that.
Mhm.
So share with us how you implement that in your own life and how you support women to do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Mm. So can italicized and in red on the book
I
cover,
love it.
yeah, because the historical silencing, like, since for as long as I have been on this earth, as well as many others, and we've been silenced and underrepresented, right? So because I do that work professionally, I actually was gonna write something else, and God was like, "Nope, put this first."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You sure?" Like, even with the title, I said, "You sure?" You know, he don't make no mistakes, but I said,
Right.
"Yeah,
Like,
you
did I hear you
I
right?
said, you like, right. It was a little controversial. He said, "That's the point." So every day I got up and I just said, "Whatever you want on this paper, whatever you
Mhm.
want these people to hear and read, just give me the words." So a lot of people ask me, like, "What did you write in there?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can't say it." And somebody actually sent me an excerpt from my book and was like, they were just like, sent me a quote, and I was like, "Oh, that's good. Who wrote that?" And they were like,
They're like,
"You in
"You?"
chapter 5." I was like, "That's some good writing."
Right.
So the book, I actually open up and I just talk about, I think first it's important to understand ourselves.
Yeah.
So chapter one is identity. We have to start there. I also delve into talking about self-care. Maybe that's going to, the people say we're not supposed to go there, but Target. But maybe that's,
Going on a little
and
shopping
listen,
excursion.
you need some household items. Go to listen, do what you have to do for you. What we say?
Right.
It's like, but maybe that's just walking around one of your favorite stores, or
Mhm.
maybe that's putting your phone on do not disturb and not answering phone calls. Making sure that you're doing stuff that still yourself in your cup before
Yeah.
pouring into somebody else because you can't pour from it. So I talk through, my experiences professionally slightly, but I talk about the angry Black woman stereotype. And instead of thinking they were angry, first of all, remember that or think about the fact that maybe you did something to make me angry. So let's start there. But also, maybe I'm just passionate about what I'm talking about. And
Mhm.
because I'm passionate, it comes out in a certain way. And maybe my voice becomes elevated because I'm of that passion, right? It's not
Mhm.
always that I'm angry, but now you're making me angry by telling me I'm angry.
But then they
So
hit you with the calm down. Now
yeah,
I'm really
the
angry.
look at the trajectory. What happened here, for us to get here?
Right.
So I talked through the women's suffrage march, the Me Too movement. Look, guys,
Mhm.
all come back to me. But the Me Too movement, things that just impact us on a daily basis. And I always term it as my love letter to Black women because I'm not a gatekeeper. I think that's weird. And I didn't gain this knowledge. I didn't make any of these concepts up, any of these topics.
Right, right,
The knowledge I gained, I want to pass along.
right.
And that's part of being wise and having wisdom, right? Like,
Mhm.
why would I keep none of this came from me? Why would I keep it all stored for me? That's selfish.
Right, right.
Um, I literally just poured my legit heart and experiences into the book, and that's how it is birthed.
I love it. What are some of the things that women say to you after they've read the book?
Like, well, I think a lot of people because I won't say very, but I'm pretty unserious. So I think that people forget that I have an actual big girl job, and that's
Right.
yeah, because I
I
just
give
don't
you praise
present
so much when
myself.
you forget.
Like,
Yes,
yeah,
I
like
see that. Yeah.
I fun. People forget that I actually went to school, and you know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
people are first shocked that like I know as much as I do, or like you know what I mean. I think
Mhm,
that's the initial
mhm.
thing, but a lot of women have said, and actually, my greatest feedback have come from men
Wow.
yeah, so multiple men have just been like, you know what, this helped me as well. And that's the
Mhm.
point of it. It's called Black Girls Can Talk, but it's for allies, it's for men, it's for women, it's for girls, boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but a lot of women are thankful because, they didn't think about how they weren't caring for themselves. They didn't think
Yeah.
about the fact that they were losing their self-confidence. And it just like reiterated to them, like, no, you deserve to feel a certain way about yourself, and you deserve to have that be the reason why you show up in every
Mhm.
space in a certain way. And so you deserve what's coming for you. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
yeah.
no one on this earth is you. You are one of one. And so you need to, for me, what I try to kind of not promote, but for lack of better terms, what I tried to say in the book is that you are that girl. You are great. And you
Mhm.
were that before any of us ever knew you, before you knew you, before your mom knew you. So just show up as that girl everywhere you can.
Yeah, I love that. I think that our messaging is so aligned because I fully believe that, we talk about Black girl magic and all of that stuff,
Mhm,
but there's like a secret level to Black girl magic that gets unlocked when
mhm.
you finally figure out that it's okay to show up as who
Yeah,
you truly are.
yeah.
Like in all your extraness and all of, your whatever that is for you. For me, it's, loud colors and glitter and sparkles. I have learned to embrace and not to shrink back and not to mute myself.
Yes.
And so when you discover that it is okay for me to stand out, it is okay for me to be different. It's okay that I don't look or sound or walk or act like everybody else. I'm okay with being
Mhm,
the outlier. I am okay with you looking at me going, wow, you're different. Yes, I
mhm,
absolutely am.
mhm.
I really, really am. And I think that just takes, that air of what it means to be a Black woman, it just kicks it up a notch. Once we really,
Right.
really, really start to step into that, it just
Okay.
is it's a phenomenal thing, and it impacts people, I think, in a very, very significant way. We become undeniable. They may
Yeah,
not wanna deal with us,
they have to.
but you gonna respect me because
Got to.
I'm not gonna Imma show up to you in my most authentic self. I'm gonna
Mhm.
deal with you with integrity and excellence, but you're gonna respect my boundaries, and I'm gonna tell you when my boundaries aren't being respected, or I'm going to govern myself accordingly
Absolutely.
based on what I said my boundaries are. And
Absolutely.
so I just feel like these books, the one that you have written and this one particularly that I'm putting out, I just feel will help women to remember that I'm okay
Yeah.
if I step into the light and be who I am authentically and really honor me. Yes, I'm going to lose some people. There are going to be some people who don't like that.
Mhm.
But I'm okay because the people who do love me and who are for me and who are supposed to be connected to me, then the doors are open for them. There's space for them to be in my life. And I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about being connected to people who really don't like me,
Yeah.
who really don't
They not
respect.
supposed to come with you anyway.
They wasn't
So,
gonna come with you anyway. So I appreciate this conversation. Listen, we got a couple minutes left before we wrap up, but I want people to know how they can get in touch with you.
yeah.
And of course, we're going to have all of your details in the show notes, but I like for people to be able to hear it from you directly. So let us know, how can we get in touch with you to order your book or like just to
Mhm.
connect with you on socials?
Yes. Well, the book Black Girls Can Talk is on Amazon. So you can search it in the search bar. It's also on Barnes and Noble. You can find us at Black Girls Undertalk on all platforms. And I did not mention, but dropping a podcast next month.
Come
So please
through with the
follow
podcast. What's it
us.
called? Black Girls Can Talk?
Book Girls Can Talk, period. Yep, that's it. So I have a few guests that are coming out. I'm so excited to talk to these people. But yeah, dropping next month. And you can just hear more from there. Also, blackgirlscantalk.com. You can get in touch with me there, as well as follow our Etsy store and things like that, and learn more about the book. So little snippets of each chapter are on the website. So before as an educator, I like when people become educated. So read up on it before you purchase if you
There you
want.
go.
It's
Yeah.
web. So
That's awesome. Listen, thank you
thank
so
you.
very much for agreeing to be on the podcast. This has been really great. And I hope
Yeah.
you guys have really enjoyed our time together on the podcast with Dr. DaJaneil. I am thankful to have had you on here. I'm glad to know you. I feel
Yeah.
like we are connected now. We're in this fight together, right?
We are. We all got.
Yeah. Right. We 92 percenters. We all got. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you. This is the podcast you need to like, you need to share, you need to subscribe because you want to make sure that you don't miss a thing. And I want to invite you to join my group, The Haven, where Black women get to take off the cape of performing and just be.
And
It's an amazing community. It is growing every day. And you'll see the link on here when the show credits roll. So thank you guys for showing up. Until next time, see you. Take care of yourself. Hey, thanks for joining me for another powerful conversation. If that hit home for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. And definitely share this with a sister friend so she can get in on this too. Now look, don't just stop here. Let's continue the conversation inside The Haven, my private Facebook community where we get even deeper and do the real work of shedding the strong Black woman mindset. This is a safe space I've curated just for us. Head on over to enterthehaven.net to join us today. Now, before you go, drop a comment and let me know what resonated with you the most, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care of you first. See you soon.